Hey guys, how are you? Please do not mind my throat. It is cold. Okay, finally home from work. Long day, but a good day. Just want to talk to you guys today. I know that the last couple of days, the videos may seem a little dark and a little sad, and um, that's not my intention. But I will say, it just speaks to the truth of nursing. And I wanted to kind of lighten it up today. I figured we have a little story time, something that I always think about and go back to remind me of why I love this profession so much and why I love being a nurse so much. You may notice over my right shoulder, I have my little bookshelf that I kind of keep things on, and I figure I'd bring one down for you guys to see tonight. This is my Maasai warrior, and I picked him up when I was in Tanzania. So now we'll talk about Tanzania. Me, as a nurse, I absolutely love mission work. I love to travel, and to me, mission work was the perfect combination of being able to explore and see the world and do what I love, take care of patients, take care of people. So, as a burn ICU nurse, I had the privilege of going with some of our burn surgeons to Tanzania. Um, while we were there, we were able to care for both pediatric and adult patients. The providers um, provided pro bono burn surgeries um, for really serious cases that were there. It just happened to be a really good thing for those people who were hospitalized while we were there. We were able to provide care. I went along with two other nurses, and we went as support to the burn surgeons and to also support the nursing staff there in Tanzania. So, leaving from the US, we flew to Dubai. From Dubai, we flew from there to Dar es Salaam. And from Dar es Salaam, we went to Mwanza in Tanzania. Once we were there, it was really, I wouldn't even say it was a shock. It was different. I always love to go back to Africa whenever I can. And as you see my friend here, wherever I travel, I always try to bring something back that reminds me of that visit and the beauty that's there in the culture and everything that you find that's wonderful there for every visit. So I'll be able to show you in the future some other things I have from different places in my travels. But um, when we got to Tanzania, we debriefed, we spoke about what the plan was. Um, we would go to the hospital, take a look at the cases that were there, and see how we would be able to assist. So in addition to myself and two other nurses, there were um, three surgeons, and there was also a physical therapist who came along as well. So we talked about what the plan was, seeing what patients were on the unit or there in the hospital when we arrived, and see how we would be able to assist them. So we went to the hospital the next day just to kind of get the lay of the land. Met with hospital administration, toured the facility to see the real need. And I can tell you there was such a need, which I'm sure you can probably already imagine. When we got there and it was time for us to actually start seeing patients, one of the very first patients we had the opportunity to see was Charlie. Charlie was a 13-year-old boy, one of five children in a family, mother, father, him, and four other sisters and brothers. Um, One night, they had a can of petrol, like gasoline, fuel, that the father did not want to leave outside of their home for fear that it would be stolen. So he brought the canister of fuel into the home. In doing so, overnight, there was an explosion at the house. That explosion ended up, um, they ended up losing both parents and three of the five siblings. When we got to the hospital and first met Charlie, he had been there for maybe 3 days before we arrived. Charlie was pretty bad off. He had second and some third degree burns to the majority of his body, and he was being sustained just almost by just the contributions of the hospital itself. It's kind of a law, or the way it had it set up was that children who were under the age of, I believe it was under the age of 10, their care at the hospital was to be covered by the hospital itself. Like the parents wouldn't have to come out of pocket when it came to them receiving care at the hospital. I think that was supposed to also include medication. And when we got there, like I mentioned, Charlie was 13, and Charlie was receiving feedings through a nasogastric tube. And when we took a look at what Charlie was getting, he was receiving chai tea. Tea. That's what he was getting for nutrition. So once we got there and saw what that looked like, the providers, we gave money to the matron nurse, which is like the head nurse, and made sure she had money to be able to buy eggs, meat, other proteins to be able to help Charlie's wounds heal. We knew we were going to take Charlie to surgery. Charlie was going to receive a skin graft. They were going to excise all of that scar tissue. And when he came out, he would need real food and nutrition, real protein to help those burns heal. Gave it to the head nurse. She made sure that was taken care of. And in preparing for surgery, we had to, just kind of assess Charlie, did our head to toe assessment. And we found that some of his gauze was tinged green. So he had Pseudomonas, which is a bacteria. And when this bacteria is found in large quantities, it appears green. So we had to prepare solutions, Dakin solutions. And we're used to performing burn care on patients twice a day. So if we were back at the hospital here in the States, the day shift would perform burn care, night shift would perform burn care. We had to do the same for Charlie. So even if we were at the hospital during the day, we would leave, go to the hotel, we would debrief, have dinner, everyone would be chilling, relaxing, and the nurses would take a taxi back to the hospital so we could perform evening burn care on Charlie. Once we got Charlie to the point where um, they got that under control, it was time for him to go to surgery. The surgeons did what they do best. They performed the surgery. It was a success. Charlie came out of surgery and he began to work with physical therapy. As he was healing, of course, we would have to make sure going back and forth to the hospital, making sure Charlie is good. And we were there, I think, in Tanzania overall for almost a month, which was great because you really got to see the progression in terms of his care. So now, 2.5 weeks in, we get a message that they're bringing another young patient to the hospital who's been transferred from another hospital further away from where we were. They were bringing her in to receive care as well because she had been burned. Come to find out, it was Charlie's younger sister, Sarah. So they were able to bring Sarah in. We were able to perform burn care for Sarah. Sarah and Charlie were together. Mind you, they were the only two who ended up surviving the explosion. When the time came finally for us to leave Tanzania, it was tears, but we left knowing that we were leaving Charlie in good hands. Something I forgot to mention as well is the medication. The cost of medication was not covered by the hospital. So there are pharmacies outside of the hospital gates where you would go to purchase the medicine that would be used or given to you in the hospital. So we had to do the same, excuse me, for Charlie. We would go to the pharmacy outside of the hospital fence. We'd buy the medication, bring it back so Charlie could receive the medication he needed. The same goes for food. You found family members of patients bringing food from home to feed their loved ones who were in the hospital. So this wasn't any different. So fast forward, we're getting ready to leave. Charlie's been reunited with his sister. We at least left feeling good knowing that we made a difference. And Charlie was one of several patients who we ended up assisting while we were there. And it was pretty common to find children who were burned because a lot of times they're cooking meals over an open fire. And if the children are running around in the yard, sometimes they knock over the pot, they run into things, and oftentimes that's how some of the children were burned. I will say, when we were leaving Tanzania, we got back to the airport. Most of the team, I would say altogether, what did I say? It was three, six, seven. Of the seven of us, six of them boarded a flight to come back to the US. Me, I got on a plane and flew a little ways off to Zanzibar, which is off of the coast of Tanzania. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island right there in the Indian Ocean. They're like, "You're not going back?" I was like, "I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in a week." I went to an all-inclusive resort. I truly believe if you work hard, you should play hard. There should be no reason in the world why you can't play hard. I will say, while we were in Tanzania, we did have time to explore, to visit, see different things. I did go on a safari while I was there, and the safari was amazing. It was through Serena Lodge. It was a 2-day safari, which was perfect. No, 3 days. So, first day, we are driving in, and the lodge itself, the hotel, is situated right in the middle of the Serengeti. So while we're driving in our safari truck, elephants, giraffe, rhinoceros, hippos, hyenas, animals that you always see on Animal Planet. And we're driving in zebras. Did I mention zebras? And lions? Everything. So while we're driving in, that was part of the tour. You safari, you drove in to where the hotel was, the lodge itself. We spent the night, spent 2 days, and then safari back out, back to our hotel in Mwanza. So while we're there, we got to our huts, our little hotel huts, which were absolutely beautiful. And mind you, this is still the Serengeti I'm talking about here. And They said, the staff, they would let us know, give us a call the front desk when you're ready to come to dinner. They had like a nice little celebration, and they had music and dancing that would be performed at dinner. They were like, don't attempt to come on your own. Give us a call and we will send an armed guard to your hut to pick you up. And even though I say hut, I'm really saying that loosely. It was a beautiful room that we all had. You can come outdoors. You had like a seating area. You'd be able to look out. You can have your coffee, tea in the morning sitting out there. But once it got dark, they didn't want you to move around there by yourself because you were honestly in the middle of the Serengeti. So it was natural for animals to be roaming throughout the space where our lodge was. So they would have someone come from the main area to escort you to the dining hall. We were told now they came, they had guns, but they was like, they've never really had to use the guns. All they would have to do is take their flashlight, shine it in the eyes of the animal that was there, and 9 times out of 10, the animals would leave and scurry off. But just in case, they were there and they were armed. So we would go back, beautiful dance and ceremony and things that were put together for us. So that was always really nice too. So now back to Zanzibar. So as they left and came back to the US, I went to Zanzibar, all inclusive resort. Beautiful. It was just so nice to be able to relax after everything we did there, caring for the patients. So left there after a week, came back, and just so happens one of the burn surgeons applied for a grant to be able to open a pediatric burn center where we had just left. It was approved, and a year and a half later, we were going back to Tanzania. This time I was written into the grant to be able to um, create hospital policy and nursing policies, things that were specific to a burn nurse in terms of providing care. And I was able to put all of those things together, implement it, go back to Tanzania and teach it to the nurses there. Now, while we were there, we're teaching the burn surgeons. They're teaching and educating the physicians. I myself, I'm there and educating the nurses. And they said, oh, before you all leave, we have a surprise for you. We have something we want you all to see. I'm like, okay. And lo and behold, the door opens up, and who walks in? It's Charlie. I can't even begin to tell you how great it was to see him. Gosh, it almost makes me teary eyed right now to think about it. He came in at this point now, he's about 15. You can see the scars from the skin grafting that he received. But other than that, Charlie is doing well. Charlie came, he spoke to the nurses and the doctors who were there to say that we were the team that helped him live, and that he had decided he was going to be a physical therapist because of how we were able to help him get his life back after the explosion. Of course, we asked about Sarah. He said Sarah was doing well, but I still remember the picture I took with Charlie that day. And I ended up posting on Facebook. I was like, I could, if nothing else happened that trip, I could leave Tanzania a happy woman because we were able to actually see the fruits of our labor. And it wasn't just something that was intangible, it was a life that was saved. That had we not shown up when we did, it was providence. It was meant for us to be there. Absolutely meant. Charlie would not have survived if we were not there when we arrived. And to see him now living a life where he's going to be able to help others, other children and adults who are burned, to let them know, even if though you look a little different, you have life, and there's something that you are here specifically to contribute to this world. When I tell you I was good, I was good. And those are the things that remind me why I absolutely love nursing and why I would not trade this profession for the world. And I would hope that if you don't have or haven't had experiences like that, where you've really been able to give back, don't worry. This is the community where we're going to see that things like that get done. We're going to pour back into ourselves, but we're going to also see that others are able to experience the love and the joy and the passion that we have for this amazing profession. So, thank you for allowing me to share this story with you today. There'll be more, but I always feel it's so important to remember the encouraging words and the reasons why we do what we do. So, can't wait to talk to you all again. I'll be back tomorrow recording again. But in the meantime, I invite you to like, subscribe, and let me know what you love about being a nurse. Or if you're not a nurse and you happen to have been taken care of by a great nurse, let me know that experience. I think it's so important because we're here to encourage each other. We're here to inspire each other. And ultimately, we're stronger together than we are separated. All right, take care, guys.